federal government is finally going after banks for mortgage fraud. The latest is a lawsuit against Deutsche Bank for issuing bad loans. Will we see even more lawsuits in the future? Rebel Cole of DePaul University joins us to talk about this. Welcome back, Rebel.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So why isn't the U.S. government going after U.S. banks for issuing bad mortgage loans? Why is it just Deutsche Bank?
Well, it is curious because we all know that the worst miscreant of all was Countrywide, which is now part of the Bank of America. And we also know that the U.S. banks are sitting on about $50 billion of these FHA-insured mortgages that are already delinquent. So why are they going after Deutsche Bank? Well, maybe it's because Deutsche Bank is a German bank, and if they have to collect a bunch of money from Deutsche Bank, it won't cause another financial crisis in the U.S., where if they collect all this money from Bank of America, we could be in real trouble again. Okay,
let's go into why the FHA or HUD is going after Deutsche Bank. And the FHA has paid $386 million in FHA insurance claims that Deutsche Bank has made the FHA pay for. And FHA says that there's hundreds of millions of dollars more to be expected to be paid in the future. Can the FHA afford to pay all of the insurance claims on these bad mortgages?
Well, the FHA only has about $30 billion in reserves right now, and they're expecting losses in about $25 billion. So they only have about $5 billion beyond those already committed losses. So the FHA is in real trouble that way. They can't afford to take any more losses, so they're going to try and get money where they can, and Deutsche Bank is one place that won't hurt the U.S. But remember, the FHA is a U.S. government agency. The the government owns a lot of Citibank, and the government doesn't want to own any more big banks, so they're reluctant to go after the big U.S. banks.
But if Deutsche Bank is putting these is making FHA pay on these insurance claims for the bad mortgages, why aren't the U.S. banks making the FHA pay for these, make due on their insurance
Well,
claims?
that's interesting. My contacts at FHA tell me that the big U.S. banks are not asking for these insurance claims because they're scared that the FHA, through the Justice Department, will sue them for triple damages. So if they ask, pay us $1 billion in insured loans, we're going to say, no, give us $3 billion in penalties because you filed a claim under the False Claim Act that was fraudulent.
So what are these banks doing with all these bad mortgages then, if they're not making FHA make good on those?
Well, they're taking advantage of some accounting provisions which allow them to report these loans as non-performing to regulators but not to investors. Curiously, they also get to accrue interest. They get to book $2 billion a year in phony profits that they're never going to collect.
Okay, how does that happen? There's a non-performing loan on your balance sheet. How do you get to accrue interest on that when the principal and interest are not being paid? There's
different types of non-performing loans that banks report to regulators. The biggest category is those that are non-accrual, which means they're bad loans and you can no longer accrue interest. There's another category called past due and still accruing. These are loans that are in the process of collection and are supposed to be near certain of collection. So the banks are telling the regulators, these are FHA guaranteed, so we're going to get the money. But they know if they present the claims to the FHA, they're going to get hit with triple damages, so they're scared to do it.
And the FHA would go under because it wouldn't be able to make good on all those claims.
The FHA would have to ask for a taxpayer bailout, so they don't want to do it. So this is the old act of pray and delay. Pray and delay that the FHA will be able to build up its reserves and the banks will be able to build up their profits so that they'll be able to pay fines in the future.
And how is this all going to end, do you think?
It's going to end badly, as it always does. This is a scandal of Enron-esque proportion, and we're going to see it explode sometime in the coming year or two.
All right, thank you very much. Rebel Cole of DePaul University.